basically in a contest, you are graded or scored on 3 different segments of your speech. And there they are: content, delivery, and language. So today, our panel of speakers will be looking at these 3 items and giving their feedback based on this. So are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, please put your feisty Uzi, bone crushing applause for competent communicator Zaki Ibrahim. The title of his speech: Submit or Steep. Submit or Steep. Zaki Ibrahim.
I'm not trying to perform a magic trick. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of my 2 friends, Wisnu and Dedi. They both are visually impaired. If you think it's challenging for me to walk with eyes closed, imagine climbing a mountain without being able to see. And they both did it. Toastmaster of the evening, club president, panel of judges, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. This is a story about 2 friends going beyond limits to reach their dreams. Wisnu and Dedi are 2 Indonesians who conquered Mount Ophir in Malaysia 1.5 years ago. They were part of a project organized by a group of friends in Singapore. They flew all the way from Indonesia. They're very enthusiastic about the climb because it's something that they used to do before they lost their sight. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever lost something that's really precious to you? How did it feel when you lost it? Wisnu lost his sight 10 years ago when he had brain tumor. He was studying architecture. He had to let go of his dream of becoming an architect. Although the tumor was cured, Wisnu almost lost his hope when he realized he couldn't see anymore. Dedi became visually impaired after he had glaucoma 9 years ago, when he just graduated as a Bachelor of Economics. As if losing sight wasn't enough, Dedi also had to lose his wife, who decided to leave him and brought their child along. Leaving his despair behind, Dedi moved from his hometown to Jakarta, where he met Wisnu in an institution that provides education for visually impaired people. They became best friends. They've been moving more in life since then. They've been learning new skills. Every single step that seems simple to us was such a big leap to them. Every new skill that they learned, like a mountain to climb. And when they had a chance to literally climb a mountain, they didn't think twice. The excitement of climbing Mount Ophir also helped me deal with my own fear. I have never climbed any mountain before, for a reason that may sound silly. I have phobia of snakes. So hiking, mountain climbing were never on my list of things to do until I decided to be part of this project. Sunday, May 6, 2012. It was a lovely afternoon when we started the climb. We were aiming to reach the summit by sunrise the next day. Most of the other volunteers were experienced climbers. It gave me a peace of mind. However, the thought of seeing snakes on our way up made me become overcautious. I kept watching the ground carefully. There's snakes, there's snakes. But after a while, I could shift my focus from being paranoid to focusing on them, making sure that they walk towards the right direction. Guiding them taught me a very valuable lesson. I could only gain my courage when I focused outward. The higher we climbed, the more challenges we found. High slopes, big fallen trees, slippery rocks on the streams. It wasn't an easy journey. It was midnight. when it started raining heavily. We had to carry on, but we couldn't move too fast. It felt so cold, wet, and dark. I kept praying that we all will be all right. And whenever I saw Wisnu's and Eddie's face, I came to realize that actually it wasn't me who guided them throughout this journey, but it was them who guided me with their courage and determination. When the sun rose, we were still nowhere near the summit. We kept climbing until our tiredness almost turned into numbness, until we no longer care what time it was. Just like in action movies, when the biggest challenge always comes to us, there is a very high steep standing between us and the summit. At this point, Wisnu and Eddie couldn't hold anyone else's hand. They could only hold the rope. They could only hold on to their fate. Come on, Wisnu, come on, Daddy, you can do it! Keep going! I still remember their face when they got to the top of the steep. They shouted loud and proud, "Yay!" The sun was right above our head when we reached the summit. I figured out why we missed the sunrise. Because the sun really wanted to be with us, shining bright like a giant spotlight, celebrating our victory. Wisnu and Eddie might not be able to see how gorgeous the scenery was, but looking at the pride, the joy, the freedom reflected clearly on their face, I learned that true beauty is invisible to the eyes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite you to close your eyes for a moment? With eyes closed, take a look at the mountains in your life, the goals that are important to you. Allow yourself to bring them to your mind. What are they? How it would feel when you stand tall on the summit? How would it feel when you achieve those goals? And still with eyes closed, now look at the high steep standing between you and the summit. The obstacles, the challenges, would you conquer them? Now, gently open your eyes and bring yourself back to the room. You can choose to keep staring at the steep and stop there. You can choose to keep climbing and stand tall and proud on the summit. What is your choice? Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite our panel of speakers to the stage. Please have a seat. Okay, before this, we have already predetermined who will be focusing on which part and aspect of the delivery. So I'd like to start off with the content. How about Adeline? Would you like to touch on one or two points about his content?
Okay, basically today's session is to give some constructive feedback. So I'll be focusing on areas which I thought Zaki could improve on. Okay, first, Zaki, this is an inspiring speech. So it's important that we need to evoke the emotions of audience. Okay, so there were times where I felt a little bit distant. Sometimes it feels more like a story. So I actually want you to give a first account, okay, of what you experience and what you see. So I'll give you some examples, right? Okay, like why did you decide to join the group to climb? Okay, tell us a little bit, what do you expect before you climb with them? And at the end, what do you, so you mentioned about what you learned. So before that, what do you actually expect from the climb? And then when you describe the Mount of Fear, okay, maybe not many people know where is Mount of Fear. So maybe you can explain like how high is it as compared to maybe like the highest mountain in Singapore? Okay, for a normal person, how long it will take to climb, and for your group, how many hours it will take? So this was actually give the audience a little bit more, make the audience feel how difficult it was. And then when you meet your friend, these two visually impaired friends, right? So what is the first impression of them when you see them? And also, you could also, during the climb, include some conversation. Okay, it could be a conversation between you and them, or a conversation that you overheard them talking to each other about, like, what is the difficulty, or, you know, were they like even crying because they couldn't do what everybody else is doing. So you need to be a little bit more vivid in the description. And you did describe a few scenarios, but you need to be a little bit more vivid and bring out the emotions in us when we hear. Did they actually cry? You know, were they like in pain? And did your heart ache when you see them having all those difficulties? So this is some examples how you could evoke the emotion. And just one last point, when you are getting the audience to think about how we will be conquering these mountains, perhaps you could think of replacing that line with, you know, think of how they conquer a mountain in the dark, and think of how we would all conquer a mountain in the light. And in conclusion, I just want to say to you, Zaki, that what you did with them is truly very, very inspiring. And I'm really proud that you will be able to share this with so many other clubs. Story to inspire all of us.
Thank you, Ashley. We shall now move on to Daniel. And I just like to stress that you try to pick one or two major points and work on those major points rather than cover too many things, because due to time constraint. So, Daniel?
Thank you very much, and I will try. First of all, I would like to congratulate Zaki, because that was truly an amazing story, because climbing mountains is not easy, especially for those people with disability. So today I will focus on some of the things that I think you can try to improve on. When I listen to a story, I will think of 5 components: the context, the character, the conflict, the climax, and the conclusion. And they must be equally focused on. So I would like to focus on especially the character and the climax today. The character, we didn't know much about the character except that they are blind because of cancers, and they are climbing mountains. So perhaps you could focus more on telling your side of the story in terms of the characters, who they are, how would they think of the idea of climbing the mountains, and how did they prepare for the trip, how did you help them to prepare for the trips. Maybe telling all of that would take a lot of time. And since I think you have spent about 7 minutes for your speech, if you expand that part of your speech, it may take a lot of time. I would suggest if you don't have enough time, focus on one character only. Because 2 people and 1 person, in this case, they have the same effect on your speech. The second is on the climax, because the conflict part was done really well. The conflict was that they are blind and they are climbing mountains. You told the story about the trip. It was amazingly done. Just that the climax was a bit short. Like the audience wasn't satisfied enough with your climax, I would say. So in order to solve that, you should focus more on contrast and suspense. You would expand on how the climbers, how the blind climber would feel before they want to hang on to the rope. That was the climax. Because we didn't feel the pain, we didn't feel the conflicts in their minds. We didn't feel the hesitation that they want, either would they want to go on forward or would they want to quit. So if we know all that, we'll be able to paint in our mind the contrast between before and after, because the picture after that was amazing. And one final thing is on the context, the overall context. I feel that any speech would have an overall message. That is a single, simple statement that we would bring home. I felt that statement was only put at the end of the speech. You could have thought of another statement, very short statement, and then you repeat the statement throughout the speech to remind us that that is what you are going to say. Oh, and just another one. You revealed the secret too early. Because at the beginning, you told the audience that these are the two blind climbers and they are going to climb the mountains. That's what we expected already. So throughout the story, there was no more secrets, no more surprise. So I would suggest that to keep the secrets near the end of the speech. That would be much more powerful. And that's all.
Thank you very much. My first pointers that Zaki, you can work on those pointers. How about Raymond?
Okay, there's two Raymond, very good. I'll focus a bit more on pictures. Raymond will focus on hand gestures, body language. Okay, but just one point I want to, of course, if you want to keep the opening as suspend, maybe instead of just walking up this way, get somebody to help you. You blindfold yourself and go up stage. Time will not start. You just go there, you greet, then before you begin, the time will start. Okay, so
can I ask a question on that? Because I remember on the contest last time, it's required for the contestant to be to start there. So any action can only be started there on the stage.
So you are walking up to stage to greet everybody before you start.
If I walk from here with blindfolded,
yes. Before you go up, you just cover yourself first, then you just walk up.
It's allowed.
It's allowed. I think it's allowed for contest.
When the contest, they need to speak within that designated
Correct.
area.
Must start within that designated
But
area.
nothing stops him from coming up like actually.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not considered
Just get somebody to guide you up.
No.
You just get assistant to
No,
get
that's
up.
table topics. Non-verbal action.
So we get out, blindfolded, walk out on stage, greet the contest chair. Okay, when you're ready, you just start. I think it should be okay.
But don't try something too hard.
Yeah.
In case you fall and you can't even reach the
And change your blindfold. Don't use a cloth. Buy a proper blindfold. Okay, it doesn't cost a lot. Yeah, the aircraft is. Okay, for me, it's more of your speeches, your pictures. Okay. Now you have two characters, Wiswu and Didi. But I feel like the way you pronounce them, I wonder that if Daniel say use strong character, if you can consider remove away Wiswu, because the way you pronounce it, as an audience, sometimes I don't get it very clear. And don't forget, certain times you have speaker, sometimes you don't have, so you have to gauge. Okay. Otherwise, change the name. Didi is okay, but Wiswu, the name is very hard to pronounce. I think the rest don't know what I'm talking about, because we have the script here, that's why we are doing that. You miss the word fundraising, so it's okay. Now, when you go to your content, okay, ladies and gentlemen, what's the most precious things you've ever lost? I feel like that part there you can actually hire your pitch. You spray off your pitch, use hire. Okay, so the idiot will catch you. The other part is, every new skill that learned was like a mountain to climb. That part you should use your speech higher. Okay. When I talk about I have phobia of snakes, I feel that the pitch should go lower. Okay. You miss the sentence so we could get a beautiful sunrise scenery. That one's okay. The word paranoid, I think you need to pronounce it slower. You're going too fast. Okay. Being paranoid. The word tiredness also you must speak very slower, and also determination. These are a few words I feel that you speak too fast. And these are some important words. Because the sun really wanted to be with us, shining bright like a giant spotlight, celebrating our victory, that part you must be strong, must be power. And then the next part is that bring them to your mind. What are they? that part, I think you should impact emotion into people because you're asking them things, so you should lower your pitch a bit and then put some emotion there. Another part, the challenges, obstacles, you miss out to the fear, the doubts. I think these two you should not miss. You must be there. And the last part, stand tall and submit. What's your choice? I think from the summit to what's your choice, the pause should be a bit longer. Okay, that's all for me.
Thank you, Raymond. It's so much to digest, isn't it? We do have video recording.
Yeah, recording. I make it easy for you to digest. I only have 3 points for you. Okay, 3 points. First part, after doing body language, start to stand up. Right. When the blind climbers went up to the summit, what do? Do they go, yeah, which is hard to believe, or they go, yeah, maybe? Would it be more powerful to do it this way? It's always make me feel heartbroken when I see a speaker kneel down on the stage. So do this. Second one, about sudden pauses in your gesture. You have one line which is quite important, and I just want to repeat it. It was much easier to gain courage when I focus. What? Yes. So before you even say the word outward, when I focus, do this twice. Outward. So you hit the audience. You pause and hit the audience. Instead of when I focus outward. Third one. You ask everybody to close your eyes. Were your eyes closed? Do you inspire the audience to close their eyes? So I saw a few of them close, but there are some of them who do not close. So you can go and close, really close the eye and feel the audience, inspire them to close the eye. You can tell the contestant to tell you who didn't close the eye later. Relax them, they laugh, see they laugh. Then you tell them what you want to, the message. Okay, at the end, you open your eyes. Right. So let them follow you. 3 points, message.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Michi.
So the last section focuses more on language. I think content delivery has already been covered. I do have some of my comments which I will offer you later on, but focusing on language. What I liked, I thought that some of the description which you gave was wonderful. The sun really wanted to be with us, shining bright like a giant spotlight. So descriptive words like this give that vivid imagery in the mind of the audience. It shines so bright, almost as bright as sparkles in the eyes of the two men. So words like these, I was looking for more of them, so I hope you can use more. There were areas whereby you could have used better description, like rather than saying it was a nice Sunday afternoon, you could have described it a little bit more. A warm, balmy Sunday afternoon, or describe it more so then we feel more drawn into your story. One thing I noticed was also the word steep, right? So steep appeared in your title and it appeared a few times in your speech itself. But ladies and gentlemen, steep is an adjective. The way you have used it as a noun, right? You went submit versus steep, so it's not that. It's either a cliff or a steep slope. It's not steep. So I will work with you to change that. I also feel you need a stronger title. So we probably need something better than just submit versus steep, right? So we'll work through how we can think of a better title for you. Another idea was because you're trying to inspire the audience to take certain action, and in language there are a lot of tools you can use like rhetorical devices and all that. So I'll just give you an example of where I felt an example like how you could have started and set the right context for the story. So bear with me as I go through this. You can walk up the stage blindfolded and you start off like this. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to perform a magic trick. I'm not trying to tug at your heartstrings. I am putting myself in the shoes of my two friends, Vishnu and Daddy. I am trying to pretend I'm visually impaired, like Vishnu and Daddy. If you think it's challenging for me to walk with my eyes closed, you will think it's even more challenging to climb with my eyes impaired. But they both did just that. So that was an introduction, but I felt it really draws the audience in, right? I mean, it's silence here. I'm not sure what, you know, what you guys are thinking. That's not what I meant. But the idea of a speech is, right, when you stand up, you want to give the audience a reason why they should give you that 5 or 7 minutes. What's your message, right? So you need to take that first few seconds just to make your first impression. And oftentimes, that's what makes the difference between a good speech and a wonderful one.
As the last panelist, I'll summarize the previous panelist.
No value, no value.
But seriously, an inspirational speech, you got to work on a few fundamentals. I find that your whole speech was a descriptive speech. And we are so busy describing things, describing the characters, describing the scenery, describing the action, describing everything else. It's information overload. Alright? So lighten your speech, don't struggle too much to describe moments and things, but add in a focus on the character, add in a focus on conversations. There's a portion where I said it was hard to walk around, you may sleep. But why not you just describe a moment that Vishnu actually slipped and you ask him, are you alright? He said, I'm fine, Zaki, I'm fine. And you move on. When you reach the summit, instead of shouting, ah! You just go back to them. Vishnu, how was it? I'm okay, Zaki. I'm glad I made it. You build character into the speech. You build moments whereby you are attached to the two person instead of describing and describing and describing. That's my takeaway for inspirational speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, we still have a bit of time, so I'd like to open up to the floor. If anybody feels that there's an important point that you would like to bring up to help Zaki. Anybody at all?
No, it's good.
Okay, if not, Okay, Helen?
When you use body language, try not to over dramatize because it is, after all, not a skit, it is a speech. And I have found in previous contests people who fall down on the floor, jump up and down. When they land on the ground again, they've forgotten the next point. Because their brains are so rattled and they're so breathless from all this exercising. So do try to remember it's a speech, not a skit. And try to make sure that whatever you want to describe, you can actually choose the appropriate word to describe that kind of feeling, that kind of action, without having to, lunge yourself all over the floor and hurt your knees in the process. So this is something that you can bear in mind.
I agree with Helen. Ever since Darren LaCroix won the 2001 World Champion with the ouch and he fell, so many more Toastmasters have fell. But it's been a long time and people get so sick of it. It's just another ouch. So sometimes the obvious is not so good as the implied. Just like what Mike said, a special silent moment on the peak where you have a dialogue with Didi or Vishnu. And he said, I'm okay. And you can say, like, I can see like tears stream down from his eyes and all that. And people can feel it. You don't have to say he cried or he was jubilant or stuff like that. Huh?
No, just like Jeffrey was saying, make people feel through your words.
Yes.
And through the tone that you inject into your words. Not so much of this, because then it becomes slapstick and it's really quite a serious message, a meaningful message. You don't want to demean that with all these kind of funny antiques.
I have two questions. Quick one. When I announce the title, any problem from anybody knowing what I'm trying to say? Submit and sleep or sleep versus sleep. So I felt that your title should be changed. Yeah, so it's quite challenging for them to comprehend. The other thing is about inviting the audience to close their eyes. Because for me, I have a moment of disconnect when I close my eyes. So I wonder if anybody down here was really with him and immersed in that imagination when he described close your eyes and do this and do that.
Just you can just say, imagine yourself, you know, with no sight, no sense of sight. You cannot see this, you cannot whatever. And I think that will bring us into your experience.
Angel, yes, please.
Something very basic, that is eye contact. I find that I'm not with you because I think you were too busy with your stating everything and describing. I don't see the connection. Maybe you can try to have eye contact with one or two persons in the room and then look at him and talk. I find it more emotional and more, you know, you can be with you in the story that way.
Use the 4-box method. It's not enough to look at one or two. You need to spread it over the room.
But sometimes when you want to make certain statements or what, you can look at one.
Yeah, I'm saying use the 4-box method. Talk to me later.
One quick question and it is back on the pace.
Okay, so maybe I can just speak, say on this pause in between chunks, but within that chunk you were very fast. So that's also partially made it a bit hard for me to connect, because you were rattling, then you stop, and you rattle, then you stop, right? So I felt it was, yeah. So work a bit more on the pace. It's okay to speak less is more, but more convey the emotions.
Alright, we're right on time, so thank you so much for your panel.
Thank you. Very quickly, I would like to move on to the R counter's report. She has been diligently counting all the ums and ahs and okay